Hi, my name is Ian Bryan, and I'm a storm chaser here in the Midwest. Storm chasing is a fun but sometimes dangerous hobby, so I'm going to be showing you my storm chasing gear and how I tend to stay safe here in the Midwest. Behind me is my storm chasing rig, cleverly named the Nader Chaser by those who enjoy storm chasing like I do. The Nader Chaser is a stock Jeep 2020 Compass. This is a good, reliable vehicle, and that's key when you're storm chasing here in the Midwest. Now, you don't necessarily need a storm chasing vehicle that's all decked out like mine. It really varies in terms of what you are actually out there storm chasing for. Here in the Midwest, my job consists of a couple different details. The first one is relaying severe weather back to the National Weather Service, whether that's hail, high winds, tornadoes, or severe weather as a whole. The second piece of my job consists of sending videos and photos to local news stations for them to use. Typically, storm spotters like myself are the closest and most reliable sources of information. I've been certified for the National Weather Service since March of 2026, and this allows me to keep up-to-date information as well as another form of safety when it comes to storm chasing. If you're thinking about storm chasing, I highly recommend you get certified through the National Weather Service so you know exactly what you're looking at out there in the field. Storm chasing can be very, very fluid, and there's a lot of changes when each storm rolls around, so it's important to know the differences in what you're looking at so you're not entering into a dangerous situation blindly. Storm chasing can have very, very quick movement, so it's important to maintain flexibility and make sure you're on your A game, and most importantly to me, keeping your head on a swivel as things can develop wherever you are. Another key piece of advice that I'd offer for any prospective storm chasers is storm chase for what you are looking for. When it comes to storm chasing, there are many different methods and a lot of different interests. For a period of time, I tried working live streams when it came to storm chasing, but that has a whole level of detail and it tends to take away from the actual enjoyment of the storm. So moving forward, I'll be making small mini documentaries and more live updates will come on my Instagram, so stay tuned for those. But getting back to your interest in chasing, that really varies in terms of what you're looking for. You can just be out there for the thrill of the chase, you can be out there to relay storm reports, submit photos and videos to local news stations, or this may be a profession. My vehicle is built for this up-to-date storm chasing. Everything in this vehicle is stock. It starts out as a 2020 Jeep Compass. Everything you see here on the roof has been added over the last year. Let's take a look at what we got going on the Nader Chaser. Now, as I mentioned before, each level of storm chasing is different, so each vehicle will look a little bit different. And mine has been developed and built so to meet my standards and meet the equipment I need when chasing. And a lot of it comes down to safety more than anything. Now, like I said earlier, everyone has different reasons and different motivations for chasing, so each vehicle is going to look a little bit different. Most of the equipment I have in my vehicle is for safety or for the severe weather research and analyzing portion. There are a few things that I have that actually capture the weather and that I use for anything other than the safety portion. Let's take a look at what we got going on in the vehicle. Up here on the top is a small but also remote controlled spotlight. This comes in really handy in low visibility situations and if need be in first response scenarios as well. This works really well in the dark and I highly recommend it. These are about $80 on Amazon and I'd recommend picking one of these up. Prices vary, mine was on the lower end. Now, sticking to the lighting theme, there is a light bar located in the back of the vehicle. This has been bolted into the travel rack, which allows it to maintain itself in high level winds. Everything on top of the vehicle has been tested up to 140 miles per hour. That's forward movement plus any exterior movements that's going on. The standalone winds that it's been involved in have been up to 90 miles an hour, so it handles very, very well in high winds. It's important that anything on top of your vehicle is mounted extremely well to your vehicle. Think about over-mounting it, considering that it's going to be going up against hail, debris, wind, and rain. You don't want anything flying off of the back of the vehicle and hurting somebody. This light bar can be controlled from the inside of the car as well. Everything on top of the vehicle is available and is accessible from the inside of the car, so you don't have to get up and move around too much, which is important to me. The motivation for this light bar was visibility in hazardous situations. It's important to know the laws in your local states for your light bar. It's extremely important to know the laws behind having a light bar like this in your state. And it's also important to understand that just because you have a light bar does not make you a police officer, fire truck, or first responder, so don't drive like one. That means no reckless driving or anything like that in hazardous situations. And that brings me to another portion of the storm chasing puzzle. One of the most dangerous pieces to the storm chasing puzzle is not even the storms. It's called chaser convergence. It's a lot of storm chasers gathering in one area to chase weather. And for many folks, and I can validate this for you, the most dangerous part of storm chasing, like I said, is not the weather, but rather the chasers themselves. Staying very vigilant and focused when on the road is extremely important. Hence my determination for the live stream, so I can focus on maintaining a safe and comfortable distance from other chasers as well as the storm. Now, when it comes to mounting things to your vehicle, it's never a bad thing to be extra cautious and extra prepared. On my vehicle, I've got it set up so it's bolted into the travel rack. On top of that, I've got some zip ties that are holding the front in place, so going through the wind, it doesn't want to sway itself backwards. It holds itself nice in place. And then Flex Seal that's actually holding and covering some of the parts in place as well. This is mainly for weatherproofing more than anything, but it's another layer of protection if needed. Flex Tape is an excellent tool for storm chasing. I've also built a small camera station that sits right above the driver's side on the car. There's one that faces this weather station right on the other side of the car, and another one that shoots out the front of the hood of the car, so nothing is missed, especially when there's an action part in the chasing. With all that said, let's take a look inside the car and see what other tools we got in there. Welcome to the front cab of the Nader Chaser. You're spending a lot of time in your vehicle when you're storm chasing, so it's important that it's not only comfortable, but safe and reliable. There's a lot of tools that I have here in the car, so I want to show you each of them.
On top of the vehicle is a SantaLogic weather station that takes live measurements and readings and sends it down through the car onto a SantaLogic display, which allows me to see it in real time and give live reports. It measures wind speed on the anemometer, a weather vane, a hydrometer, barometer, and a rain gauge, as well as a pressure sensor on top. In the car is a camera, a compass, and a series of buttons which control the emergency lights, and the WeBoost to the right of it. The WeBoost is very simple to use. It connects to my iPhone and allows me to boost my hotspot signal. So my iPad, which sits in the center of the vehicle, connects right to it. I allow it to connect to the hotspot, and boom, I've got updated radar just like that. Now, I invested in Radar Scope this past year, and it's been awesome. It gives me real-time updates and warnings that you can see on the left-hand side of the screen. It works super well, and it's been recommended to me by numerous other chasers. I definitely recommend buying this. It's only a $10 radar app, and it definitely has boosted up my forecasting and live research in the game. Another radar application I've been using is called Weatherfront. It's currently the #1 weather app in the US. It ties through iOS and gives me the ability to see both velocity and reflectivity on the same screen. A very, very helpful tool, especially when chasing tornadoes. It works super well, and it allows me not only to see those forecasts, but it also allows me to see up-to-date weather models, including temperature, which is currently on the screen, satellite imagery, and the SPC forecast. A really handy tool, all of which can be tied through my iPad on the right hand side of the screen and would not be possible without the WeBoost, which sits in the back of the vehicle and works like a charm. Now, this is certainly on the pricier end in terms of equipment, so make sure you know how to install it and you're taking good care of it.
Now, if you want me to do a deep dive on the WeBoost, I'm more than happy to show you how it works and how I installed it, but there's a lot that goes into it. The installation is pretty easy, but I want to save that for another video. But this is definitely worth the price tag and very good for anyone who's interested in storm chasing, bushcraft, survival, all that fun stuff. It's very easy for this.
And finally, in the car, I have a stabilizer in the center of the vehicle, which allows me to pan back and forth and not miss any part of the action. To the right of that is a camera that's always rolling just on a tripod. In the back seat is where I can get the most up-to-date radar scans for my mobile radar application, which ties directly back to the National Weather Service. It also gives me live radar warnings and updates. It also allows me to connect to the spotter network so I can provide real-time, up-to-date live notifications to other spotters.
Now, in this portion of the car, there's a couple of survival tools I keep on me. First one here on my left hand is a small survival pack. In here, it's got a couple of small first aid kits and emergency response kits if needed. Those first aid kits can come in pretty handy if first aid is needed. There's also some non-perishable food items in here as well, so there's nothing I have to worry about. I have some leeway and some time in case I find myself in a sticky situation. Below that is my camera gear. It's where I hold on to my binoculars, as well as some of my lenses, and also my stabilizers. It's all very easily accessible right behind the captain's chair here. Below that is an emergency battery pack. It comes with a couple of jumper cables. This is good for winter time storm chasing or in case your battery goes bad on you. I've luckily never had to use this on my car, but I have had to use it on a couple of friends' cars and folks I found in the ditch if needed. Now, I do my best to stay away from hail when it comes to storm chasing. My vehicle is not prepared. I know some people put some rhino lining on their cars or hail nets. I don't have time for that, and I don't have the money for that. So I stay away from hail, or if I am getting myself into a situation, a big thing that I look for is gas stations or any sort of shelter nearby. But in case I want to go collect hail samples, I do have some headgear. This headgear is pretty well put together. It's a little more than I think most storm chasers would use, but I've got it set up with some eye protection in case I find myself in a situation where debris is an issue, and an extra headlamp on here if needed. This is way over the top. You don't necessarily need it, but I like having it, and I'd rather be safe than sorry. This pack here is new, and a big shout out to my mom and stepdad for giving this to me as they were going through their garage. This came in really handy as it holds onto a lot of the storm chasing gear I have with me. I've got some extra microfiber cloths for all the cameras I utilize. You can get yourself a nice camera. What I'm using right now are some old phones that I can use as cameras, and my main phone camera here is how I'm taking photos. But I'm looking to invest in a Nikon here at some point in the near future. Inside I have cleaning kits, microfiber cloths, an extra set of flex tape because you can never have too much. We also have some work gloves, which I would definitely recommend. You don't need anything fancy. I just got these from Walmart for about $5. There's also another battery pack in here as well. So I've got 2 emergency battery kits in case batteries crap out of me when I'm working. This is also kind of an extra if you need it, but a neon vest or an emergency vest to keep yourself visible in low visibility situations. This came in really handy last year during one of our big snowstorms when I was helping people get out of the snow. I've also got a set of tools here in the front and some extra camera gear, and on the right hand side some extra cords and battery packs as well. So nothing can be run out and everything is very easily accessible here in the car. My computer also sits here on a computer mount. Now this originally sat in the front seat of the car, but there was a problem with it. The front seat was getting awfully cramped and smushed with all the equipment up front, and it also can make for a dangerous situation in the event that something happens to your car and you have a passenger with you. Hence the reason why I have the iPad sitting up front, which I have found to be very, very useful. The computer lives back here, and it's very easy and accessible. When and if I'm stopped, I can use this for a radar, and I have this available here in the back seat. This was also very helpful when I was live streaming, but right now it only runs my main radar, which I can access from the front via an application on the iPad and the computer here.
Throughout the car, I have a 2-tiered LED lighting system, which allows me to control the color of the lights in the car. More importantly, the temperature. I've got floodlights and LEDs in the back. I also can switch the colors as needed. Typically, if I'm switching colors, it's to red in the nighttime, which allows me to see things in the car without sacrificing any sights outside of the car at night. I try to keep the trunk as clear as possible so I can haul things around as needed and not lose any space in the car.
Storm chasing is a great hobby. I have a lot of fun doing it, and I look forward to sending you guys more videos and photos with the more and more stuff I see. You get to see a lot of great stuff, you get to meet a lot of new people, and a lot of people take interest in the work you do. So stay safe out there, and let's get back to chasing.